The Batman. Operation Isus. Part 2, I Am Vengeance. Disclaimer. This is only a comic book, fanfiction, crossover story. The fictional characters in this story are within the DC comic universe and Marvel comic universe. The Batman, Operation Isus is only a fanfiction comic book story, and the Batman story is not canon to any of the Batman fiction or lore. Vandale. Wayne Manor / after the funeral. "They're coming to take me away," shouted Bruce as he peeped out the living room's window, as he watched his relatives frantically rush up the driveway. "Who are?" asked Alfred. "Say you agreed to take care of me," shouted Bruce as he raced off towards his bedroom. "I agreed to do what?" shouted Alfred. Wayne Manor / Bruce's bedroom. "Bruce," said Edna with tears in her eyes. "Alfred is going to look after me. He'll teach me self-defense. When I grow up, I'll run my father's company," said Bruce. "Master Bruce will oversee the city of Gotham," said Alfred. "I see," said Edna as she curiously gazed over at Alfred. "It's all worked out then," shouted Gary with the biggest smile on his face. "I really wanted you to come live with us," whispered Edna in a sad voice. "She even cleared out a small space for you up in the attic," whispered Gary. "Gee, thanks," said Bruce. "It's the thought that counts," said Edna. "Master Bruce is in great hands here," said Alfred. "Like you said, it's all worked out," said Bruce as he smiled at Edna and Gary. "I guess we'll be on our way then," said Edna with a sad voice. Edna burst into tears as she rushed out of Wayne Manor. "Have a good life," said Gary as he rushed out of Wayne Manor behind Edna. Bruce and Alfred peeped out his bedroom window with smirks on their faces as they watched Bruce's non-caring relatives drive away. Wayne Manor / self-defense class. "Because of the death of my parents, Gotham is losing all its freedom," said Bruce. "Once you're older, you can fix this," said Alfred. "I'll take back Gotham City," said Bruce in a serious voice. "You're sounding a lot like your father," said Alfred. "Do I really?" asked Bruce. "Like your father except with a slight British accent," said Alfred. "I'm picking up your accent then," said Bruce. "Also, you've got your father's fighting spirit in you," said Alfred. "We've got 15 more minutes," said Bruce. "Show me what you've got," said Alfred. Years later / Arkham Asylum. "How many visitors will I get in one day?" asked Jeremy. "Why did you say that you didn't kill anyone after gunshots were clearly heard throughout Crime Alley?" asked Bruce. "I'm not supposed to talk about that," said Jeremy. "Answer me," shouted Bruce. "Anger runs deep in your family," said Jeremy. "That's not an answer," shouted Bruce. "Well, guess what? It's freezing in this place and I'm happy you came to warm things up," said Jeremy. "You agreed to this visit," said Bruce. "Like I said. I never killed anybody that night," said Jeremy as the Time's Up alert sounded off. Bruce gazed deep into Jeremy's eyes as Arkham's guards escorted him away. "Why aren't you talking?" shouted Bruce. "Because," said Jeremy in a dark, serious voice. "Because, what?" asked Bruce. "It's a secret," said Jeremy in the most villainous voice along with a wicked smirk on his face. "A secret," said Bruce. Wayne Manor / self-defense class. "You have the fighting abilities and enormous resources to fix all this," said Alfred. "I can't do this as Bruce Wayne," said Bruce. "You need a disguise," said Alfred. "You mean I should dress up as Zorro," said Bruce. "Yes and no," said Alfred. "So," said Bruce. "So, create your own look," said Alfred. "I like ninjas," said Bruce. "So, an all-black, militant, ninja jogging suit with a hoodie and black face mask that covers your mouth," said Alfred. "You just thought of all that," said Bruce. "I'm quick like that," said Alfred. "Now you're sounding like the youth of Gotham," said Bruce. "I'm picking up Gotham's lingo," said Alfred. "Cool," said Bruce with the biggest smile on his face. "Do you have a name to go along with your disguise?" asked Alfred. "I am Vengeance," said Bruce in a serious voice. Right now, the timer says you have 10 more minutes of training, said Alfred. Let's do this, said Bruce. Streets of Gotham / I am vengeance. Disguised as vengeance, Bruce was just as wild and crazy as the rest of the young people of Gotham. Bruce, along with a massive crowd, all threw white smoke bombs up towards the sky to block out the street view of Gotham's patrol blimps. It's working, shouted Tyron Brooks as the crowd cheered and applauded. They can't patrol the skies of Gotham if they can't see, said Benita Arnez. Wait, what? Said Bruce as the patrol blimp sucked all the white smoke from the skies. You're breaking curfew. Get off the streets of Gotham. Now, shouted the stern robotic voice over the patrol blimp's loudspeakers. I can't see, shouted Tyron as spotlights from the patrol blimps in the skies blinded the crowd. It's Gotham PD, shouted Benita as fleets of Gotham PD walked down the street. As everyone ran, Bruce stood his ground. Lieutenant Jim Gordon quickly removed Bruce's black face mask. Bruce Wayne, whispered Lieutenant Jim Gordon as he gazed deep into Bruce's eyes. Yup, said Bruce. Lieutenant Jim Gordon's patrol car. Your parents were seen as beacons of hope to the people of Gotham, said Lieutenant Jim Gordon. Nice scum lords, whispered Bruce. Acting like this makes you no better than them, said Lieutenant Jim Gordon. I'm just trying to make a difference, said Bruce. Good, the city of Gotham needs a hero, not a vigilante, said Lieutenant Jim Gordon. Wayne Manor / living room / interview. Viktor Vaughn, said Alfred as he opened the living room front door. Alfred, nice to meet you, said Viktor. Bruce will be down shortly, said Alfred. Awesome, said Viktor as he lovingly gazed all around Wayne Manor. Those are figurines that my father collected, said Bruce as he strolled into the living room as he went over his cocktail party notes in his planner. This one stands out from all the rest, said Viktor. Why is that? Asked Bruce. This is a figurine of Isus himself, said Viktor. Isus, said Bruce as he gazed at the figurine in Viktor's hand. Isus fought Zeus, Anubis, Kali, and others. With his absorption abilities, Isus gained their powers, said Viktor. Fascinating, said Alfred as he checked the time on his wristwatch. The Independence News Network, said Bruce. It was just me at first and now I've added 11 others, said Viktor. What do you already know? Asked Bruce. I know it was a horrible event that changed the city of Gotham forever. As a result, there are curfews, patrol blimps, patrol drones, Gotham PD harassing the people of Gotham, and the list goes on, said Viktor. It sounds like you have your story already written, said Bruce. Just needed your approval, said Viktor. Approved, as long as it's factual, said Bruce. I hear your cocktail parties are the latest rage, said Viktor. You're invited, tonight at 7 p.m., said Bruce. Sweet, said Viktor. Part 3. Coming soon.